Welcome to the Pet Loss Companion. I'm Ken Dolan-Del Vecchio. I'm here with my friend and co-author, Nancy Saxton-Lopez. And this is a program that we do live on YouTube, and it is broadcast over Facebook, and then we put it on
Other
Spotify,
platforms.
and it goes to a lot of different places. But this is a program that we do on Thursdays from 6 p.m. Eastern to about 6:30, and it grew out of the book that we wrote called The Pet Loss Companion: Healing Advice from Family Therapists, which, by the way, is now available not only as a hard copy but as an audiobook.
Autumn.
And what we do on this program quite frequently is we read letters from
Hmm.
audience members who share with us the stories of their animals' life
Hmm.
and their passing and how they're doing. And that's what we're going to do today. We've got a couple of
Hmm.
stories that we're going to share. You can write to us at the following email addresses. You can reach me at kenddv@gmail.com, Nancy at nancysaxtonlopez@gmail.com. And if you write to us, one or both of us will respond to you
Hmm.
in any case, but also just let us know if it's okay to share
Share.
on the program, share with our audience. And there's a number of ways that you can support us through Venmo and PayPal and through subscribing on the Substack where there's a small fee. But of course, we do this as a community service mostly, so don't feel
Yeah.
obliged to give us support. If you'd like to, though, of course, we're very appreciative of that.
Hmm.
This program is a friend of Dakin Humane Society in Springfield, Massachusetts. And Dakin is not only a shelter and an adoption program, but it also is an organization that provides a number of services for those of us who have animal companions in our families. And one of the services they
Hmm.
provide is a pet loss support meeting over Zoom that is free of cost to attend. And the RSVP link is in the description that accompanies our program, whether you're listening live now or you see it in one of the replay platforms. The support group meets every second Tuesday of the month from 6 p.m. Eastern to 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And you can join from anywhere in the world, and in fact, people do. And we had the meeting just a couple days ago, and there were people from various parts of Europe and various
Hmm.
parts of the US and Canada. It's very interesting to see the mix of perspectives when people come together from lots of different places. If you RSVP and then you decide that you can't really make the meeting, it would be good if you send me an email and just let me know, because we'll reopen the registration.
Hmm.
We cap at 50, and we usually get sort of close to that, but we often don't actually go all the way to 50. But if you send me a note back, it'll open the space for someone else if in fact we are bumping up against that 60 number. Please, 50 number, I should say. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And if you have subscribed, it would be great if you could leave a comment or a thumbs up or a heart or something like that, because all those things make the algorithm bring the program to the attention of people who may benefit. And that's something that, of course, we appreciate, and we hope that will be helpful to many other people. And then finally, before we get started, I just want to remind you that we have an affiliate relationship with a company called Bereave that makes these beautifully crafted
Oh,
granite
they're
memorial plaques.
absolutely beautiful.
And if you purchase one through the link in our description, we will get a little bit of a kickback, if you will, of support that
Yeah.
goes that comes from your purchase. And Nancy, you want to get us started for
Yeah.
today?
We have two stories, as Ken said tonight. One I'm going to read is Harry with his handsome, sweet Luther, and Ken with Jennifer and Emmie. So I'm going to start. Hi, Ken and Nancy. Thank you for all you do. Until recently, I felt utterly lost until I found you guys, and I've been listening to your podcasts and audiobook to help me with losing my dog. They do feel like they're helping whilst listening and providing me with understanding, especially with a veterinarian's perspective. But I feel, still fall into deep heart wrenching bouts of guilt. My sweet boy Luther, a 40-kilogram Dutch herder, has been my best friend for the past 13 years, since the day we met when I was 18, working at the kennels he and his litter mates were at, and he ran into my lap, and the owner told me, "That's your dog." I had not spent a day without him. We were synonymous to everyone. People even say they don't recognize me without him. He went everywhere with me. He was literally my shadow. I would plan everything around maximizing time spent with him. I had another dog who passed away 3 years ago, and I have a very sweet female who is a year younger, but Luther was my soul dog. I truly believe I'm who I am because of him. He has been my rock through all of life's perils, and losing him has devastated me, ashamedly worse than the deaths of my family or friends. He has had the usual issues associated with an old large dog being treated for arthritis since the end of 2022. He would have flare-ups every now and then that would make some days more of a struggle than others, but with medication and rest seemed to bounce back with a spring in his step. On top of his deteriorating arthritis, he's had a share of other serious health problems that have put him on death's door. In the last 4 years, he has had bloat, which is very dangerous, a perforated intestine, benign mass removal, and this November was diagnosed with cancer. He had 3 sudden mass growths, one in his armpit, one in his rib, and one on his back leg, the latter being the largest and the only cancerous mass of the 3. I was instantly heartbroken at the news, and his vet and me both agreed limb amputation of a dog of his age who already struggled with mobility would be cruel. The vet was happy to remove a bulk of the tumor without the margins usually preferred to prevent reoccurrence of cancer, as the cancer was still an early stage and not reproducing cells at a fast enough rate to be of concern. This procedure was all booked. I had been extremely sad since his diagnosis, realizing age and health catches up with our dogs eventually. As silly as it sounds, I had never imagined him getting old or passing, despite walks getting shorter and slower. I didn't care because he was still here, and I was naive that as long as he was taken care of, he always would be. At nights, against my best attempts to get him to lay on my bed or the couch or any of his 3 orthopedic dog beds laying around the house, he would always end up asleep by the cool garden door on the hard floor, which wasn't any good for his old bones. Even putting a bed down there, he would move it to lay on the cool tile. As he got older, I pandered to him way more and any whine for attention I would give in to. But on the night of the 2nd of January, he was restless in his spot by the door, whining in a more distressed manner. He wouldn't get up on his own, and when I went to help him, he would yelp and immediately lay back down where he was. I brought one of his beds over, managed to get him into it, and calm him slightly. I stayed with him through the night, and by the time morning came around, he was still very distressed, and I rang the vet hospital, and they prescribed the meds he usually has for his arthritis flare-ups. I came home, administered them, and laid down beside him. An hour later, he was trying to stand up crying as he peed himself. I tried to help him, and he cried even more, and he couldn't move his back legs to support him. I immediately called my friend to help me carry him on his bed to the van to take him to the vet hospital. The vet examined him, and all they could do was prescribe him stronger drugs and tried to explain to me that arthritis and that of other dogs isn't a gradual decline and can decline suddenly in large steps. In the moment, I was teary-eyed and just wanted them to say he would be fine. I just wanted to relieve his pain and didn't push for a more thorough exam. Whether the vets didn't want to force a decision out of me as options were limited, or I should have forced more action, I don't know, and it is always going to be a regret of mine. I took him home, administered all his drugs every few hours. He started refusing food, and his pain was worsening. He couldn't lay down to sleep. He cried every moment and every movement and tried to bite me for helping him move. I phoned the vets, and they said to let the drugs do their work. He slept maybe a total of 1.5 hours that night. On the following day, January 4th, he had been restless all night and was still unable to move on his own or use his back legs and was still refusing food. I had been in fits of tears since Friday, watching him in pain, his old face looking exhausted. I phoned the vets that morning, and the vet said the drug should be working if they don't soon bring him in, but that it might be important to prepare ourselves. He did not get better, and it was killing me to see my boy like this. I requested a home visit from the vet, which didn't come until that evening. I'm crying as I type this. I still can't believe I agreed, but we decided to euthanize Luther. I immediately regretted it. I panicked over fear of losing him at the vet's away from home and that he wouldn't be with his family. From pressure to not let him suffer, that he might die in surgery like my other dog, and I had him killed. Through my own fears of his pain, I chose to end his life. The vet and my friends and family assured me I was doing the kindest thing, but I can't help but feel deep in my heart that it wasn't. I should have pushed for more options or treatments. He deserved that. He deserved everything. And in that moment of panic and fear, I made the worst decision ever. I've sought advice from vets since, asking what they would have done, hoping they would have a magic option, and somehow that would have brought him back. I can't help but feel everyone's answer is just to unburden me of guilt. No matter how many times I hear it, I keep reliving that moment and the heavy weight of guilt of killing who meant the most to me in the world. I feel so ashamed of myself. He trusted me, and I did that to him. I haven't been able to leave him since. I laid with his body all night, moving hot water bottles around under his blanket to stop my boy from getting cold. I was with him through the cremation and have slept in the front room where it happened with his ashes ever since. I barely left the house as I just want to be with him. I never knew it could be this bad. I don't know what to do. Everything now feels worthless and meaningless. I really don't want to be here without him, especially after what I've done to him. If you can help or think it will help others, you are welcome to share. Thank you for all you do. You are both angels. Oh, so
So,
hard.
so
So much
yes,
guilt.
yeah. So Harry is demonstrating what so many of us
Oh,
do, which is here he takes exceptional care
yeah,
of Luther, and he makes the incredibly painful decision to end his suffering, and then he starts torturing himself
yes,
because he
absolutely.
feels like there should have been something else
Else.
that he could
Hmm.
do, and yet Luther was in the care of vets who Harry trusted, and he he did what was going to end this exhausting suffering
That
that
Luther
he was
had.
observing. And
Hmm.
that's, as I think some family or friend said to him, that that's the gift that he gave to Luther rather than letting him suffer and
Suffer
struggle and
anymore.
die a very
Yeah,
pained
death.
death. And so I hope that Harry has given himself some grace, because
Yes.
it's so heavy. And we've been in correspondence with him, and
Yeah.
I think that he's kind of working through this, is kind of the way it
Hmm.
seems to me. And we just want him to know that he's not alone in these
No.
feelings of
Mm-mm.
extraordinary grief, but he's also not looking at this realistically, which is part of grief. Grief is
Yeah,
irrational.
right.
He was a great
Absolutely.
guardian
A
for
pet parrot.
Luther for his
Hmm.
whole life, and he made the very painful decision that we very frequently have to
Have to
make
make.
if we're going to spare them the worst of their transition out of this life.
I really have to say to Harry, you did not kill
Yeah, you didn't
your
kill him.
dogs. The disease,
Yep,
the affliction, the
yep,
medical problems, that was killing your
yep.
dogs.
And
You just helped them not suffer
and I
anymore.
and I have to say, he sent some of the most beautiful pictures,
Yeah.
really
Oh,
stunning pictures
yeah.
of
What a
and
beautiful
of the
boy.
connection that
Yeah.
he had with with Luther. And so we want to thank him for sharing his
Oh my
story, for
goodness.
sharing these images, which are so powerful.
Yeah.
And we hope that he's doing better in his and not torturing himself the way it
Yes.
seems like he had been doing at the time that he wrote this. So thank you, Harry.
Here,
And we're
thank
going
you.
to
Yes.
move on to Jennifer, who's going to talk about her golden retriever, Emmie. And she writes, "Hello, Ken and Nancy. My name is Jennifer. I'm a new listener who found your community while searching for comfort after the sudden passing of my soul dog, Emmie, my beautiful, sweet, and sometimes sassy 5-year-old golden retriever. She left this world way too soon, 3 weeks ago, the morning of January 5th, 2026, and the silence she left behind is heavy. It already feels like a lifetime. I'm writing to you to honor her and inform
Mm.
your listeners about perfect storm of pet nutrition and a
Mm.
genetic predisposition called nutritionally mediated DCM. Had I known then what I know now, I truly believe Emmie would still be here. Our story is long, but writing has really helped me process and get my
Mm-hmm.
emotions out. The golden jackpot. Emmie entered my life during the summer of 2022, arriving in a season of profound loneliness. I had just finished my master's and moved across the country to Tennessee, navigating a difficult breakup while watching my friends drift into different chapters of their own lives. I felt lost until a single phone call changed everything. My mom called to say a coworker could no longer keep her pandemic puppy due to a family illness. Knowing we were a dog family, she wondered if I was interested. I said yes before I even knew her name or breed. I just knew I had love to give. My psychiatrist had also suggested that an emotional support animal to help with my anxiety and depression, and little did I know I was about to receive the greatest blessing of my life. The moment Emmie and I met, she gave me a massive kiss. She was the most bubbly, happy, and petite 18-month-old golden retriever. She quickly became my Velcro dog, my coworker, hanging out under my desk on work from home days, the shoulder I cried on when I felt I had no one else, couch slash blanket hog, and the queen of chin scratches. An adventure scout and star athlete, she was the ultimate icebreaker, helping me find a new community in walking clubs and at dog parks. Morning coffee on our balcony was the best. She was a lover of swimming and an expert at cobbing, those tiny, gentle nips on my hair that were her way of saying, "You're mine and I love you and will take care of you, Mommy." Some of my favorite memories are from our hours at the dog park. Even after 2 hours of sprinting, it would take a village of 6 people to wrangle her because she simply refused to leave. She would entertain everyone by rolling on her belly and sticking her tongue out the moment she realized it was time to go. Emmie had these adorable bunny hops when chasing a ball and a skippy-dee dance she performed before every meal. However, she was a total disaster in the car. Emmie never understood the concept of sitting in the back. She wanted to be right in my lap, and she actually shifted my gear into neutral a few times before I finally invested in a sturdy doggy safety belt. Whether we were hiking into the wilderness or she was just holding the mail in her mouth, people always commented on her being the happiest girl they'd ever seen. I was so incredibly proud to be her person. At home, she enjoyed sitting on the couch with me and snuggling into my arms as we woke up every morning before we got up. The warning signs. Hindsight is always 2020, but looking back, my gut had been whispering that something was off this past year. I dismissed it as sentimentality, just my girl maturing out of the puppy stage. She'd surely be around for another 6 to 10 years. Yes, she seemed a little slower, but I figured any dog would be after a 3 mile walk in the Tennessee heat and dog park run. By October, a mild cough appeared in the mornings. It wasn't nearly as harsh as the kennel cough she'd had picked up in the past, but nonetheless, I made a vet appointment. She also started acting mopey, choosing to sleep on the stair landing instead of coming up to my room. I rationalized it away. The South was still hitting the 80s, and I assumed she preferred the cooler first floor or was perhaps just missing friends from our old dog park as we transitioned into our house in the suburbs. At the appointment, the vet suspected a virus and prescribed antibiotics. However, he also scolded me because her weight had jumped from 51 to 61 pounds. I was baffled. Emmie was an athlete who ate only blueberries and carrots as treats. She didn't look heavier. I could still feel her ribs. Even at Thanksgiving, my dad insisted she seemed fine, wasn't gaining weight, and noted that his own 2-year-old dog, Chase, breathed heavier than he did, and that he too occasionally coughed. Something still bothered me as the occasional cough continued. So we went back on December 3rd. The vet ran an x ray. My heart shattered
Mm.
when the results revealed Emmy's heart was 5 times its normal size. That extra weight wasn't fat, it was an edema. It was I was advised to rush to the ER cardiologist. The vet asked the question that changed everything. Is she eating grain free? Nutritionally mediated DCM. I'd always said no because the bag wasn't labeled grain free, but the devastating truth hit me. Her food was heavy in legumes and potatoes, culprits known to block taurine absorption in genetically predisposed breeds like Goldens. I had done my research. Emmy's food had glowing reviews, and the ingredients looked healthy. Why wasn't I warned about lentils and
Mm.
peas before? Why didn't I come across FDA warnings previously published? The very food she did her Skippy Dee dance for was slowly poisoning her. After a night in the ER, the cardiologist offered a glimmer of hope. She suspected the damage was nutritional and potentially reversible with a diet change, meds, and supplements. Thankfully, no arrhythmia. We immediately started her on taurine, L-carnitine, Lasix, and Pimobendan, and new kibble. By her 2 week follow up, her atrium was actually shrinking. We brought her back. Uh, we, we thought we had her back on the road to recovery. Over the next few weeks leading up to Christmas, my dad watched Emmie while I worked. He kept reassuring me that she was her usual self, playful, breathing normally, and having a blast with his cat Joey. When my 2 week when my 2 week Christmas vacation finally arrived, I was so relieved to finally give her my undivided attention again. During that time, my mom visited with her golden retriever, Lacey. Watching them play normally was heartening, though I was careful to set boundaries. I cut out outdoor fetch to keep her heart rate from spiking. But it was a constant mental battle. I found myself obsessively comparing her breathing to the healthy dogs, struggling to spot the difference. The invisible struggle for Emmie and I. Even though Emmie was still navigating the stairs at times, my research convinced me she needed to rest. I started sleeping on the couch to encourage her to stay downstairs, but she certainly gave me a run for my money. While her coughing had subsided and energy was up, I couldn't shake my caution. The real struggle was that she looked and acted like a vibrant 5-year-old dog, but I knew the reality on the inside was different. Was this just adrenaline for our visitors? I was constantly trying to count her breaths, but she wouldn't sit still long enough for a clear reading. I sent the vet a video. She was a 3 out of 5 on a scale, not overly concerning. But we set a follow up for January 16th. Every time I saw her belly, still shaved from the echocardiogram, it served as a scary reminder that her heart wasn't beating like it should. Despite my fears, Emmie still had the backyard zoomies and would pull on her leash when with everything she had. I kept thinking, baby girl, you have to relax or you're going to hurt yourself. But heart disease is a double-edged sword. You have to keep the heart muscle conditioned without overtaxing it and cannot kill their fighting spirit as they need it. I eventually settled on a routine of consistent short walks with plenty of sniffing time, interactive puzzles to keep her mind busy, light tug of war, and very controlled rounds of indoor fetch, watching videos to educate myself on DCM. My mom mentioned that she never would have known Emmie was sick, but I was becoming hyper aware of every sound and movement. I reached a point where I refused to leave the house or anything other than work, church, or groceries. I just couldn't bear to be away from her. I had to know she was okay. Emmie's last day. Emmie's full last day was the Sunday before I had to return to work from the Christmas break. I work mostly from home, but need to be in the office for meetings. I was dreading leaving her with a pet sitter and spent the day making a full chart and care guide for her sitter. To calm down, I also did some chores upstairs and baked cupcakes. Emmie climbed upstairs to sort items with me, dug a huge hole in the yard, and played fetch and light tug of war together inside. She had her bunny hop on while she retrieved. She's getting stronger, I told myself. She will be okay Tuesday. I also bought a webcam to install to watch her. I'd drop anything if I noticed signs of distress and rush her to the vet. We went to bed around 11, cuddling on the couch. I told her I loved her, finding comfort in the fact that I'd still be home with her on Monday. At 2:38 a.m., my alarm went off for her Lasix dose. I was delirious with caretaking fatigue, but I didn't mind the wake-up call. When I got the pill, Emmie didn't move from her spot. She seemed tired, and it was early, so I brought her pill to her. She took her medicine. I checked her gums and breathing. Everything seemed normal. After a few moments together on the couch, Emmie jumped down and walked just a few steps over to her favorite cooling spot by the window and fell peacefully asleep. Since she regularly hopped on and off the furniture throughout the night, I wasn't overly concerned. She was in plain sight and resting on her side. I set an alarm for a little later, knowing the Lasix would soon kick in and she'd need a potty break. I can't remember, but she either passed before or after me trying to get her out. But I decided not to force her out into the cold and let her rest when she didn't come. Can't remember, but that's a little hard to follow. I went back to the couch to sleep. All I know is I heard and saw it, a
Mm.
small quiver followed by a soft, gentle sigh. I just knew that was her last. I ran to her side, begging her to get up for her potty break, and tried coaching her with treats. Through my tears, all I could say was, "Oh, Emmie." With my parents having just left, I was alone. I mustered every bit of strength I had and ran to my neighbor's house for help. I frantically called my family, but it was 3 a.m. It took a while for them to answer. They were in total disbelief. Despite Emmie's diagnosis, we all thought we had at least a year or two left.
Mhm.
We didn't see any decline. Maybe we would have permanent lifestyle modifications. It had only been a month since her diagnosis. My neighbors were incredible. They held me, cried with me, helped me drive her to the vet for cremation. Saying goodbye felt surreal and far too fast. She looked like she was just sleeping, but as she grew cold, I realized I couldn't stay in that final room forever. Even though she is gone physically, I knew at that moment it wasn't the end. It was just a see you later. I still feel her with me. There's been times I feel regret about not doing CPR or getting to the vet earlier, but I've come to the conclusion that she would have likely died in the car there, which she would have hated. I didn't want to possibly damage her ribs and heart further. So many dogs with DCM suffer unable to breathe, having fainting spells and anxiety. Emmie died peacefully while sleeping, happy at home, with her mommy just a few feet away. In a way, it was an answered prayer. She never had to struggle, and no assistance was needed with her passing. I had no clue it was coming. I truly didn't think she did either. I just wish we had more time together for more adventures, but I know she is never far, and I look forward to the day we finally reunite.
Mm.
Until then, I've decided to live a life Emmie would be proud of. Aftermath, legacy, and trying to heal. It took a week for Emmie's remains to be returned to me. The wait was pure agony. I know everyone's views are different, but for me, there is immense comfort in knowing where she is, and I find peace in the thought that she will be resting by my side when my time comes. I'm not really ready to make a till our last breath commitment to another dog yet, but I plan to foster other retrievers in her honor and will
Mm.
continue my animal shelter volunteering. I've always had a dog, and the silence of the house is too much to bear. I trust that when the time is right, Emmie will lead me to my next pup,
Mm.
as I believe my childhood dog, Lanny, led her to me. One of the hardest parts of this transition is finding her golden glitter everywhere. I know that eventually the stray hairs will disappear, and I can't save them all. I've decided that the clean tufts will be kept in a special place. As for the fur found in the dryer lint or vacuum, I can't bring myself to throw it away. So I plan to use it to fertilize a memorial garden for her in my yard in the hole she dug. It feels like a way to keep a part of her alive. I'm also leaving her nose prints on my car windows and storm doors. I know they'll fade eventually, but for now, everything she touched feels sacred. I have photos, paw prints, and artwork of her scattered around the home as well. Mornings, coming home, and nights are the hardest times for me. I miss our routine and seeing her head in the window, waiting for me to come home. I'm sharing our story not just to let others grieving know that they're not alone, but as an urgent plea regarding the
Mhm.
life saving importance of pet nutrition. I wish I had known that genetic predispositions combined with a diet high in legumes can create a perfect storm, one that likely stole my girl far too soon.
Mm.
Please have a conversation with your vet today. If you're feeding a diet high in pulses like peas, lentils, or chickpeas, do not wait for symptoms to appear. Ask for an echocardiogram now. In cases like ours, early supplementation can be the literal difference between life and death. I've struggled deeply with the guilt of what I was feeding her, especially because her food had
Yeah.
such glowing reviews. It's clear now that factors we are only just beginning to understand turned her meals into a silent killer. While most dogs may thrive on that same kibble, it was the perfect storm of those ingredients and Emmy's own DNA. She simply had a heart too big for this world.
Mm.
Emmy's condition was occult DCM, meaning it stayed asymptomatic until it was too late. By sharing her records and echocardiograms with researchers, I hope her data can prevent other families from experiencing this sudden shattering silence. We have to do better for them, and that starts with knowing exactly what's in their bowls and, whenever possible, understanding their genetic makeup. Everything happened so fast, and I'm still in a fog, struggling to believe this past month
Mm.
even happened. I still can't believe my angel is now an angel. In this time of grief, I cling to the things that bring me genuine comfort. My faith assures me that beauty will come from these ashes. Emmie is returned to her Creator, fully known and deeply loved. She is not truly lost. I find peace knowing that one day we will be happily reunited, never to be separated again.
Wow.
And she gave us
How
some
hard.
beautiful, beautiful photos
Absolutely.
too.
Oh, look at Emmie. So
It
beautiful.
was when she was a
Sweetie.
puppy. What
You
a
know,
beautiful dog.
how devastating, but how Jennifer is working with this,
Yeah,
right? Her
yeah,
spirituality, what's going to happen, the information she has now given everyone to be very mindful, of what
yeah.
can happen with certain DNA with dogs and this particular diet. And yet I'm so happy she has that spirituality, knowing that Emmy's with her and that she will meet with Emmy again.
And it is so sad. And this condition is actually news to me. So I'm really glad
Yeah,
she's sharing it
yeah,
and we're sharing it because I had not heard of this before. And there is such an emphasis on grain-free
yeah,
food,
right.
and there's all kinds of ideas about whether or not that's good and for what kind of dogs it's good and so very important that she shared this,
Oh,
and I'm
yes.
glad that she's having it's like she's submitting her data for research as
Right.
well.
Good.
So Emmy's going to help other
Others.
families,
Yeah.
and what a story and what a beautiful
Oh,
dog.
I know.
So, and we
So
do have some,
sad.
let's read some of these. We got
Okay.
a note from, we got a series of notes from Lisa. I do believe You will see him again. Our Lord is good and will not forget about our pets, and especially our love for them.
Yep.
That includes animals, and especially our precious companions. Although the Bible does not explicitly say so, many scriptures bring so much hope that we will spend eternity together with
They're
our
beloved.
beloved companions. May God bring you comfort and peace. Thank you, Ken and Nancy, too. You are angels on earth. So thank you,
Thank you
Lisa,
so much.
for those beautiful sentiments. And we want to thank Harry
Oh,
and Jennifer very
oh,
much for sharing with us and with
really
our audience.
important for everyone to hear that's listening.
Yeah,
I mean, beautiful, but very heartbreaking, but heartwarming in some ways too. That they can live on, right?
yep,
Even if
yep.
they're physically not here.
And we want to remind you too, if you find this helpful and you think others would find it helpful, please subscribe if you haven't already, and also leave a comment or a thumbs up
Yeah.
or any way that you show that you interact with the program helps the algorithm to bring
Right.
it to other people who will benefit. And Nancy, it's
Yes.
always a pleasure with
Of
you, and we'll
course.
get together next week.
Next week. Take care, everyone. Thank you
Bye bye.
again, Harry and Jennifer.